All right. Well, I think we're live. So,
Okay.
thanks everyone for watching. This is our very first episode. So I'm Simon Bateman, and so every week we get to sit down with successful entrepreneurs and experts who, generally just super interesting people who get to share their insights and experiences for us to kind of apply to our own lives or business decisions. Um, and so this week, proud to announce, it's Dame Kelly Holmes who's going to be joining us this week.
Hi.
Hello.
Feels a bit weird, this, doesn't it?
It's quite strange. So, obviously, this theme is all about sort of overcoming fear. But I suppose, to share your story, I suppose, in case there is one person on this earth who doesn't know what you've achieved in your life, if you want to give a little introduction to who you are and what you've achieved.
So my full title is actually Colonel Dame Kelly Holmes. I'm a honorary colonel with the Royal Armoured Corps. I was given that role in 2017. It was a role that was signed off by Her Majesty the Queen and changed in army policy to allow me to be an honorary colonel with a serving unit. I was made Dame Commander of the British Empire in 2005 following a 13-year international athletics career, which culminated in winning 2 gold medals in Athens in 2004. And that picture behind me is the 1500-metre final. And I now have many kind of interests. I have a charity which is called Dame Kelly Holmes Trust, works with disadvantaged young people. I have a tech business called Elf at Work, delivering health and wellbeing platform into the corporate workspace, and a fitness brand called Military Motion. And day to day, I'm a global inspirational speaker.
There we go. There we
There
are.
you go.
So, what I'd like to do is kind of find out, because I don't know like your upbringing. I know obviously you're in the army and things like that, but before we kind of delve into like overcoming fear, and also how driven you are in business and also athletics. What was family life like? Were your parents like business owners, athletes?
No, no. So I grew up with my mother. I didn't know my biological father, so he has never been part of my life. So I live and born in Pembury in Kent. So I live in a village called Hildenborough. My mother had me when she was 17, British white, and I grew up. I was in a care home for the first 5 years of my life, and then grew up with who I call my dad, Mick, and then my siblings arrived. And then, I still live in the village of Hildenborough. I haven't gone anywhere. Working class family, council girl upbringing, and that was it.
So, what was it then? Obviously, you joined the army, and then you went into athletics and stuff. What was the driver with that? Was it just because you enjoyed being active, or was there a reason behind it?
No, I think it was more about an identity. So having something that I could feel good about. So I wasn't academic at school. So sport for me was my driver, and also, as I say, gave me that identity. And I watched the Olympic Games when I was 14, and I also had the military come to the school to show us careers in the forces. And it was both when I was 14 that I had then the dream to be Olympic champion, and also
Oh,
to be
wow.
in the military physical training instructor. So
Oh, wow.
kind of 14, a light came,
Wow.
affected me.
And that was like the single focus. During that time, 'cause that's quite young, right? To have such a big, clear goal.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, especially now when you talk about, I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and they really have no idea what they're going to do, and they're teenagers. And I just think, wow, I was very lucky then to have maybe that insight. Sometimes you have to be inspired by other people, don't you? So I saw Sebastian Coe win a gold medal in the 1500 meters, and I was already a 1500-meter runner. So it just proved it was possible. He was British, British flag flying, national anthem playing, and I don't know, got goosebumps, just knew that day I wanted to be Olympic champion.
Wow.
So sometimes it's just things that come to you at the right time, I suppose.
But during that time, was there any time you had sort of self-doubt? Did you realise, you think, actually, this is never going to happen?
Not in terms of athletics. I was mini youth Olympic champion when I was 17, but obviously transferring that to become a senior is very different. Hence why I joined the army, to have a career. And I didn't actually join it as a physical training instructor. I joined as a heavy good vehicle driver. And then
So you could drive a lorry as well.
I could drive a lorry as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and then I eventually became a physical training instructor, but a lot of kind of barriers to that. I wasn't a good swimmer. I was fearful of water, and I had to try and overcome that fear, which is the topic. But yeah, I was in for nearly 10 years as in the army for nearly 10 years, and then a 12, 13-year international athletics career.
Wow. I mean, during the Olympics, which is, I mean, it was incredible. And obviously, I mean, if any moment can stand out of the Olympics, I think it was that moment for some reason, even though all the other Olympics that have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, during that time, I mean, what was life like? I know you spoke about this like a million times, but what was life like during that time? I mean, what was the morning like after you've achieved this sort of life ambition? Was it kind of like, what's next?
Yeah, because everyone was saying to me, "Oh, you must be retiring now," and I'd never thought 1 second past winning. So when your mindset's focused just on the objective or the aspiration or the dream, you don't think the other side of that, because you're so intent on focusing on what you're trying to achieve. So actually, when I won the 800, I still had 3 races to do the 1500. But my dream since I was 14 was to be Olympic champion in the 1500. So that was still a big focus. And then when I won that, it was almost like very surreal. I still, when I come back home, I was still pinching myself like 3 months after, saying to my mum, like, can you like just pinch me? I felt like I was going to stand on the start line still and compete, because it was just so, to have a dream is one thing, to visualize yourself doing it's another, to actually go through a big process and then achieve something so big, the realization of what you've done is actually you have to catch up.
Yeah, I mean that must have been an incredible time. I mean, but I mean, after that period, then did you have a low period of like? Did you feel lost at some point? I mean,
Yeah, because you lose your identity. When you've just striven to do. If anyone in any long career finishes it, that's what's driven you. That's what's got you out of bed. That's what's kept you sane. That's what's kept you going or striving. And then that goes. And also, the team around you, especially in sport, the same as I experienced in the army, has, you have people that you rely on and people that are dependable for their roles almost. So you form a really close bond with your team. And, after it's finished, your life's going obviously in a slightly different direction. You don't need the same team around you, and then you're pretty much on your own. It's quite hard.
yeah. I mean, so what was the driver thereafter then? I mean, how did you discover sort of another purpose? I guess because also I know I don't think people must know that you're a very successful entrepreneur. But what was the driver thereafter, going from sort of Olympic hero to now following a sort of business dream? I guess, or is there a bigger vision that you're aiming for?
Well, there was nothing. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I've always been someone with passion and purpose. It's always been what drives me, having a passion to do something and then a purpose. What's the outcome? I didn't really know what that was anymore, because you almost become a little bit of a product, as in when you've done something that no one else has done, of course, then you get that exposure, and then people want you to do lots of things, but then you're not really creating a future for you. You're just doing the doing without kind of really knowing where it's going. And I've always been someone that's been focused on the outcome. So that was really hard. Yes, I sort of lost my identity. I was still suffering with a few mental health problems. So that wasn't that great at that time. But then for the first 3 years after retiring, I actually was involved with Gordon Brown's government, and I was a national school sport champion, which gave me a sense of travelling around the UK and establishing what I felt was a missing part of society, which was people in areas of deprivation, young people not being given opportunity and a chance to become someone. And I always remember that when I was a child at school, my PE teacher, the one person that told me I could be good. And that really is why I have done what I've done, because of her guidance. So I started my charity in 2008, which is still going. I chaired the board for 8 years. We help disadvantaged young people, as I said, and we've helped over 450,000 young people nationwide. But also, one of the important things was to help athletes find their transferable skills so that they could then also transition their lives. So we've transitioned over 700 athletes now, and they also become mentors of our program. So it's kind of like a two-prong approach. So that was one of my first kind of like, I was passionate about change, and then I had a purpose that it's got to change people's lives.
No, it seems to be that everything you do is on a big impact, right? I don't know if that's like intentional, but you obviously look to make a big impact. But where does that ambition come from, and that almost like resilience, I guess? Is there anything that stands in mind, or is that something you've always been like?
Yeah, I think I've always been like it. I mean, it is really helpful a lot of the times, and also it's really annoying because you have to keep doing things, you know.
But is that what it is? Is that you just like to keep busy? Is that ultimately what it is?
I like to keep busy, but I also like to keep. I like as a person to still transform myself so that one, it can inspire other people, but then I get frustrated because that transformation isn't exactly maybe what I want it to be, because I'm still, as much as I've done so many things, you're always still trying to find your feet. Like it's really weird. I don't stop. I'm so busy, yet I'm still trying to find where I want to go, and that means that I want more out of life, and
Yeah.
that's important to me.
So what's lockdown been like for you then this past year? Because for someone who's super ambitious and busy, and now to be reined back for a year. I mean, I just listened on the radio this morning. It has actually been a year,
I know, yeah.
which
It's
is incredible.
crazy, right?
What's the past year? Because I mean, I know. I mean, obviously with your Instagram and stuff, you're out there. You're doing lots of festivals. You're also doing Humility in Motion. So you're literally every week there was something new. But so what's the last year been like for you?
Yeah, I haven't stopped. I've been probably busier.
Oh wow!
Busier than I've been in so long, because all of my speaking engagements that I used to travel around the world for, obviously being just on a screen. So once they started to realise that, or organisations started to realise the need to still engage with their employees remotely, this world became very virtual, and that's been really good for me. But one of the things that I did start that I'm really proud of was Military Motion, which is my fitness brand. And the reason why I started that was because I realised you're going to go in two camps probably doing this. You're either going to be those that get really down low, and they end up getting low because of isolation or lack of social interaction, but also because they're not looking after their health, they're not doing as much fitness and all that. Or you're going to get the ones that jump on the bandwagon of online fitness and do something about it. And I've managed to build a lovely community of people that are so passionate about change and supporting each other that also kept me so busy and kept me fit. I've probably been fitter now than I have been in since retiring.
And I was watching some of your stuff as well. It's amazing. So I mean, fast forward now, and also you're a very successful entrepreneur with your. I know you're doing a lot on corporate wellness and also around mental health as well. But I mean, for anyone again that doesn't know, just talk a little bit about some of your business interests you've got, and then we'll move into the winning mindset, as it were.
Okay, so one of them is a tech company that delivers an app to the workplace, which has 5 prongs essentially: mental health, motivation, fitness, nutrition, and mindfulness. And it's a kind of all-encompassing platform to be able to keep employees, I suppose, motivated and focused and look after their health, while the employers benefit from that through lack of minimising absenteeism. And I suppose the workforce, especially because of this time, need to be supported. A lot of people are struggling. A lot of people's mental health and health generally is just really deteriorated, and that will have an impact on the business. So it's to alleviate that. So just going through funding rounds at the moment, and that's a whole new world when you're talking to angel investors and VCs, and it's a different language for me, but I'm learning quick.
Yeah, I mean, are you enjoying that sort of process, the sort of that new challenge, I guess?
It has its highs and lows, but that's the same as life. It's so weird. One day you feel like, yeah, there we go. And then the next day you kind of feel really despondent and disappointed. But I suppose I've had that all my life anyway, so I just take the same old approach that not everyone's going to like everything. You can't always win everything, so you just have to
Yeah.
keep fighting if you really want it. It's the same approach, you know, that you should put in on anything that you do.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about some of your own sort of mental health challenges and stuff, and I know, I mean, these last couple of months, I've really started to feel it myself. But I mean, what's the sort of inner chat that you have with yourself when you're going through sort of dark times? I guess. I mean, talk me through a little bit about what goes on internally for you.
Well, I suppose if I am on a real low, it's kind of that sense of not knowing what I'm doing, where my purpose is. That's a really big effect on me. And then, you know, there's loads of things that go on in people's lives anyway that will have the highs and lows. But, you know, I kind of learned now how to deal with some of those by keeping myself active, keeping myself busy, and keeping what I know is one of my reasons that people almost should know a little bit about why they do what they do. And one of my things to inspire people is it keeps me going, and it keeps my head, you know, focused on the positive sides of life as opposed to bringing the negatives. But, you know, I'm quite I open about my own mental health struggles and suffering with bereavement and the changes that makes you as a person. You know, I'm no different to what I've been, but I am certainly, I think differently around outcomes. And also I'm certainly a person that puts a positive spin on everything. It's like lockdown. You know, we can all feel really down, despondent, challenged, but we all had disruptions in our life. But actually, we've all learnt so many other skills that maybe we'd never have done because of lockdown. So I actually look at it and think, you know, try everything I do now is I might not be happy about something, but where can I find a positive and then try and move on? And I think that helps not keep knocking yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that approach, sort of, turning those sort of challenges into positives, is that something you're born with, or is that something that kind of builds up? Is it a choice to look for the positive in everything?
Yeah, I think it's a choice. It's a choice to be negative as well, isn't it? You know, anyone can just put on a downer of everything, or everything perceived barriers, or barriers that are big perceived that you never get through them. And that's an attitude change and a choice to decide on where you want to go with it, you know. And it's nothing to say that you can't have a down day or a bad day or be pissed off or disappointed, or you might, through a big impact in your life, turn into become a mental health problem. But up until that point, you know, we have a choice to, you know, kind of go with a, I call it positive attitude time, or positive attitude to time today. You know, you have that, we have a decision most of the time in our life, not the things that we can't control, but the things we are in control of. That's our choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think with now sort of lockdown, the restrictions being lifted, and sort of business, particularly small businesses, freelancers, are now sort of getting back out there. I get it,
Yeah.
it can be quite a fearful time, but also a confidence time, because obviously you're so worried about the next challenges that are going to be in front of us. And what sort of advice would you have for someone who might be in that sort of space, in terms of fearful about now taking bold decisions, I guess, because again, being fearful about what's out there and what's about to happen.
Yeah, well, I suppose we can't, again, none of us know the outcomes that are about to happen. None of us know the next changes. I mean, we're never going to go through the same position we've been in because we've been through it now and we've learnt to cope. But, you know, small business, I own a building, this building I'm in, it used to be a coffee house. It's now an event space. I haven't been able to rent it out, maybe only like 2 or 3 times during this whole year because people use it as a filming studio. But, you know, what I'm thinking of is, the fact is that those people that have still survived, you've kind of gone through something so, like, that could have been so damaging to you that you could have literally closed the door, threw away the key, and that's it. But if those people are still in the game, that's like, you're going to be a winner later on, because so many people are desperate now to get into shops, to get into bars, to get into clubs, to buy things, feel things, see things, meet people. So I'd probably say, like, it's been really tough for you and for other people. No one can say exactly how you should feel and what you should do, but I'd say if you're still in the game, i.e., you didn't close down, that's a massive, massive like pat on the back. That's like fantastic. Now try slowly. Maybe you need to make some changes. Maybe you need to make some drastic changes to now suit your business to the next form of life and almost preempt change. It's like an athlete, you know, if you can preempt failure, when failure comes, you'll just pick yourself up and work out how to get back on your feet. But most people in life don't think about, if it all goes wrong, what do I do? Now it has kind of gone wrong, put some of those things into place so that you're kind of like a bit more robust.
Even just listening to you is like, I can feel the positivity, and even I now start to feel more positive about the future. But is there like, are you a great believer in like having routines every morning? Is that an important thing for you? And if so, what's the morning routine look like for you?
Yeah, so now, obviously I keep myself fit, so I always will do my fitness in the morning, like I'm on a 100k silly challenge at the moment, 10 days, 10k every day, only because I set people in military motion here. I thought I better do it myself, but but I do anything in my training. I always do in the morning, because then one, it's great, it makes me feel good. I get out, I'm probably, even though I'm tired, more energized at the beginning of the day than I end at the end, put it that way. So
What time do you want to get up? Are you like a super early person? You up at like 4 a.m. or
no, six
6 o'clock? Okay, cool.
probably, yeah, six. But I'm also the other end. I burn the candle, unfortunately, both ends, so I've got to stop that. But no, I do what I call me time. I think it's important that people get a sense of them. So when you're in business anyway, there's so many pressures around you to keep that business going, to look after the people that are helping you within that business, to keep growing, to change, to think, am I going the right lead? So many of us have a good idea, think it's brilliant, put everything into it because we have the word, like, we're passionate, but we haven't thought of the purpose. We haven't thought of the preparation that's needed and continual. We haven't really kind of been persistent at that one thing, and then not performing at your best. We kind of try things, and I'm almost like that a little bit at the moment. I'll get so like, right, I'm going for it. I'll put loads of money in it. I'll do it, and then I think, didn't really think about it. It's just kind of like, and then you get disappointed, don't you? But what I do is I exercise, which helps your mental health, really does. I always have what I call me time. So if it's not exercise, a period of time at home where I don't look at my phone, I don't kind of pick up the computer, I go in the bath, I have my bubbles and my, kind of candles on, and I just play my music. And I think we all need a sense of remembering that we wake up every day also for us, as well as other people, as well as external things around us. And if we don't look after you, then those things don't happen anyway. And I've probably come to that realization that if I want to still be driven, if I want to still, let's say, cliche, win my next gold through business, then I've got to also think about a little bit of switch off. So I don't work on Saturdays, for example. Like, it's like, literally, I just don't work on Saturdays.
I love that. I love that. Wake up for us. It's so obvious, but that's amazing, because that's like changed it for me. Because I thought, yeah, that's actually right.
We do, because we have people in our life, or people that depend on us, or people we're involved in for whatever reason and work. But like, when you woke up that morning, you got out of bed, and then so you're surely, when do you ever think that you're the one doing that? And when you live in your next step and what you think about and how you feel about it, because it's always thought about, it's doing something for someone else, isn't it? A business is doing something for somebody else. Paying somebody to work for you is doing it for their pocket as well as you. But then, when do people reflect on themselves? Like, when my mum passed away, that I realized that day, she's never ever going to take another step, breathe in the air, think or plan, see her daughters and sons and her grandchildren, do anything ever, and it's like, hold on a minute. It gave me a big realization that life isn't guaranteed, and if you don't actually live your life for you as well, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's awful that it has to have a big event like that to make people realise, I guess, that living for now and literally tomorrow you could go. Yeah, that's. What does failure mean to you then? I mean, how do you deal with failure? Is it just part of life? Does failure affect you?
It does, because no one likes to fail. Let's face it; it's like the biggest kick in the teeth when it's perceived failure by you. Not everything's a failure. It's just that it hasn't gone as well as you could have wanted it to, or it's just not right. And actually, failure is the word failure. And if you perceive it to be a failure, is your biggest teacher, because you can either give up on it, let it get to you, or you can work out a way to get through it. So when you fail on something, someone's either done something better than you haven't put in the work to be as good as something else, or just what you're doing is just not right for the direction you are going. There's a reason why you just don't have these nice easy steps that we can all go, oh, this was good, this was easy, so actually those failing points are brilliant. They are your best teacher. And in sport, that's so important, because so many people that I knew in sport who, when they lost something or didn't, got an injury and whatever, they just couldn't get their head around how do they get through that time. Whereas even though those parts of my life, especially as a sports person, and things that I've done since, have had a big impact on my emotions and feelings and pride and all those things, why failure affects you. I also think, okay, so why did this happen? Like, what was the reason? And what am I going to do about it? And what do I need to change?
I mean, are you a big reader?
I'm not a big reader, just because I'm just not very good at reading. But
Uh,
podcasts are good now. I think I'm going to start listening to podcasts. Everyone keeps telling me. I keep going on them, but I don't get a chance to listen to them.
I was going to say, is there a book that you would recommend, or a podcast that you've come across that you would recommend, or that you've recommended to someone else?
um, Yeah, I should have prepared. This is one of my things. I should have prepared. What's that preparation? It's key. It's like, um, um, gosh, oh my gosh, there is millions. There's loads. I can't think. Oh, can I Google something?
We can come back. We can put it in the comment section afterwards.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I just my last question to you is, when was the last time that you've been scared, or the last time perhaps that you've had sort of second doubts into doing something?
Oh, I've had many, but there've been kind of things that have taken me into. So I did this TV show called Mission Survive with Bear Grylls. So Bear Grylls, the ultra adventurist, and I have a fear of drowning.
Oh God.
And even way back, I mean, like I said, I went in the army. I had to learn to swim. Like literally the day that I had my basic fitness test, I was told I have to pass it. One of the criteria was to swim 25 meters, and I thought, I'm going to die. I'm going to drown. So I jumped in the pool and doggy paddled to the end and came out. And they said, you've just doggy paddled. And I said, well, you never told me how to get to it. You just told me that I had to get there. So I had that excuse. But then when I went on to Bear Grylls Mission to Survive, obviously they say, what are you fearful of? And you think, right, if you tell them one thing, then they'll only do it once. It's a TV show. Anyway, I've always, since a child, had a fear of drowning. And oh man, we got taken up in a helicopters like they do the big old show, and there was 4 celebs in one and 4 in another, and I was in the second one, and I was last, and I didn't know what was happening, but he hovered over this big old swampy blooming lake, and high up, and you've got Bear Grylls sitting on the side going, you've got to jump, blah blah blah, like Action Man. And I was thinking, I'm not freaking jumping into that. I won't come out alive. And of course, it was literally the first half hour of the freaking whole TV show. I was there for 10 days in the jungle. And literally, it was the biggest fear I'd ever had. And I had to jump. And I literally went down and I just thought, I'm dead. Like, I came out and then suddenly I'm out thinking, God, I'm still alive.
Dude.
But the worst one was very quickly, it's part of that show as well. We'd come down this big rappel, and this was facing my fear. Big rappel, like a rope on the wood. I don't mind all that if I'm hanging on to something. And then the guy on there said, "You've got to swim across this lake." And I just, normally I think about these things, but I didn't. And hadn't been in the army, I should have thought, take off your freaking helmet, your harness, your gloves, your boots, and swim, because you can't swim with a, swimming costume, let alone with all this on. I just thought, well, I got to get there quick as possible. And what happened was I got so heavy and so exhausted by trying to go, I flipped and my legs went underneath me and I went down, and I was going down, and I literally, last bit, had my chin out with my mouth saying, "I'm literally dying, I'm going to drown," and they had to come in and save me. It was the most fearful, like I thought I was going to die. I literally thought I was drowning.
Jesus. Oh, no, and he's
then
did that help? No. No.
Well, he just said, he turned around and said, at the end, so people were getting eliminated as the show went on, and he says, "You could have died and you could have killed like my people." And I said, "No, Bear." I said, "Look, it's about surviving. Why would I swim across a lake that had the possibility of crocodiles and me dying? Or do I walk the longer way around the mountain to get down?" I said, "I walked around the mountain to get down. So you can't say I wouldn't have survived." And he said, "Fair point. I stayed on the show." That experience kind of almost, in a way, in a strange way, it did get me over that fear, because it was almost like I felt what could happen now, but I wouldn't put myself in that situation. I think that's people's fears, is that they don't know an outcome, or they predict an outcome before it's actually happened. And sometimes it's just learning how to control, the controllables. And when it comes to business, it's like in sport, get the right people around you that know what they're doing, that can assist you. When you're struggling, you feel like you're failing, then you have to bring other people in, expertise, and they then get you back into your mojo and you go again.
Is it safe to say then you're a control freak?
I definitely was, especially around sport, because I wanted to be the best. I didn't win 2 gold medals by not, being all kind of like, you end up, I won 2 gold medals purely because at the point, I'd gone off a really bad year emotionally and my mental health, and I knew that I needed the best team around me who would literally, probably, like selfishly live my dream, which was be Olympic champion, but in turn, by living my dream, it would up their quality of performance. Because if you become a physio or a training partner or a coach to a double Olympic champion, you're elevated. So I just changed mindset of people. So I've always tried to be in control of what I do, because I want a really good outcome. But the really good outcome is always benefiting other people.
Yeah. I mean, just to wrap up then, is there sort of like go-to advice then that you could offer people that perhaps, like I say, facing lockdown, and I don't just want to make it more about business, but also in their own personal lives. Is there advice that you often give to like friends and stuff, like your top 5 bits of advice that you normally share with people?
Well, I think I just have, like, generally anyway, like I've like the pentagram theory, really, like 5 things, but I have 2 lots. One around your well-being, generally looking after your well-being, so your mental health, talking to people and telling people when you feel low is such a great way of supporting yourself. Your motivation, finding the positives in things you've done rather than only going to the negatives. Looking at your fitness as a tool for your well-being generally, and kind of like your outlook to feel more energized and kind of focused. And then like nutrition and mindfulness, taking that time for you, remembering that you wake up every day for you as well as other people, is really important. And then on the other side of it, in terms of like the business kind of brain I do have passion and purpose are 2 things that I absolutely go by. Got to have passion, but that passion has to be with purpose. What is it you want to do? I have preparation, which I said I should have done for you. Preparation. And then persistence, like you can't give up just because something goes wrong. You've got to just keep going and find a way. Because if you give up, if only is too late. And then the last thing is like celebrate then your achievements. Too many people have the hard things on themselves and forget, even for the small things, to say well done. And I always give myself well done.
Yeah, I think we're all a bit guilty of that as well. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your advice as well. And then, yeah, come back to me about the podcast and the book so I can put it in the
I will.
title
Yes, I'll put
stuff.
it on.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'll put it on. That's for sure.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. See you again.
Thank you.
Bye bye.